Those polls, Chuka, it's fair to say, won't make great reading for Jeremy Corbyn and for Labour at the moment. How are you feeling about sort of the next 7 weeks and the challenge of trying to turn this tide, which certainly seems to be pushing very much against Labour at the moment?
I always quite like... I mean, this is my third general election compared to Iain. I'm still a bit of a rookie, I suppose.
How many, Iain, did you say?
I think about 5. I can't remember, actually.
And I always enjoy it because, in the end, it's about your viewers and it's about the electorate. And so you're quoting a poll, but the only poll that matters is the poll in June. And if we all, if we go, oh, well, the polls determine this, we might as well pack up and go home and you can talk about something else. But there's no doubt about it, this is going to be a tough election for the Labour Party. But I think, for me, it will come down to 3 things. It's an unusual election because we're in the process of leaving the European Union, and how we do that is going to be one core fundamental part of this general election. The second thing is, just look at our public services, particularly our NHS. That is in crisis. It has been starved. Many of our public services are now being starved of funds, which started in 2010. That's going to be a big issue. And then I think, for me, the third thing is our economy. This economy's got to change. I think it's extraordinary that we're like the 5th most wealthy country in the world, and yet the majority of people in poverty in our country are in work. Okay. Something's wrong about that. Okay, so those are the 3 big issues, I think, for me.
Lots of big issues, but let's have a look at something that's on the Corbyn for Labour website this morning, and presumably will make its way into the Labour manifesto. Corbyn pledges, we will create 1 million good quality jobs across our regions and nations and guarantee a decent job for all.
Yes.
You'll guarantee not just a job for everybody. It'll not just be a job for everybody, but a decent job for everybody.
Well, 2 things.
How do you guarantee that?
Well, we actually, in government, we had a youth job guarantee for younger people, so that if you were out of work for a period of time, you would be guaranteed either a job or training to help you get into work. Obviously, I don't know what's going to be in the manifesto yet.
Are you going to promise 0 unemployment?
I don't know.
Full employment?
I don't know. The manifesto...
That's fantasy land, isn't it? I mean, with the best will in the world. And who wouldn't want to vote for a party that promises 0 employment?
But, Susanna...
Look, 0 unemployment. It's impossible.
We actually have, and look, I'm not going to deny it just because we're in a general election period, we've got quite a low rate of unemployment relative to other Western countries. There are about 600,000, 700,000 vacancies at the moment in the labour market, so it wouldn't be beyond the wit of this country to be able to...
people who are not working to take those jobs.
Let's see. As you said, the manifesto hasn't been announced yet, but I recall, when I look back at, the great 1945 Labour government, when Clement Attlee's government came out with this commitment to full employment. People were rubbishing it then, but actually we got people into work. So let's see what happens. We're just at the start of this. I'm just a humble backbencher. I'm not a shadow chancellor. The shadow chancellor is about the detail on this.
It's interesting that Chuka brought that up, because that was essentially what Labour are looking at now. Because in 1945, Winston Churchill's called a snap election. Similarly, just sort of out of the blue came and we're going to have an election, we've just won the war, I've got 83% approval rating, and then, of course, they were expecting to take the majority, and that didn't happen at all, did they? The Tories lost 190, Clement Attlee became Prime Minister, the Labour took 239 seats, and that has to be the concern, isn't it? As a few of the political commentators and these have said, that has Theresa May miscalculated here in her urgency to try and get a hard Brexit and a majority in the Houses of Parliament, that this has been done before. There has been a huge turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go back to Winston Churchill. There were slightly different circumstances.
Of course, there were different circumstances.
And the polling concept was really pretty poor in those days. So there were big changes, and a lot of people in the Conservative Party back with Winston Churchill actually didn't believe they were going to win that election, because there was a mood of change, and the Conservatives had been in power before the war, all that sort of stuff. So I'll just park that for a second. In modern parlance, look, I don't, I'm rather with Chuka on this. My sense is that the polls are the polls, but the electorate will make their own mind up. So the Conservative Party will have to fight this on the basis that we are literally kind of fighting to win against, whoever is against us. In this case, the Labour Party. It doesn't matter what the polls tell us. The marginal seats will decide this, and some of them will be decided on local issues.
What would be considered a success for the Tories in this general election?
Well, a bigger majority, a more workable majority than we've got at the moment.
What would that be?
Look, I don't speculate about these things. My sense is it hugely depends. Well, I'd like whatever the electorate wants to give us, as long as it's a majority.
50, 100 seats?
No, I don't. I think all that speculation, by the way, is way over the top. I'm very sceptical about that kind of size of majority. But my view about this, and all the elections that I've fought, is that this next few weeks does decide who wins it. And therefore, whether the polls tell us we're way ahead or not way ahead now, it's how we plot that campaign. A side could get into difficulty. It could melt down in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So my point is, it's really important that running this election, from my standpoint, from our standpoint, the Conservative Party, we have a very clear agenda. We set out what that agenda is, and we stay on that agenda.